Another Friday means it's time to answer some questions from the listeners.
You are Locked On Royals, your daily Kansas City Royals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are tuning to Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter or X at JohnnyJ_15. That's at JOHNYJ_15. And you can download us on wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Odyssey, and YouTube. Just be sure to hit the follow button and subscribe. For you first-time listeners, here's how this podcast works. We bring you episodes Monday through Friday, 30-minute episodes, with Friday being our Mailbag Friday, which, of course, is today's segment, where you can send in questions to YouTube, or you can reach out to me on Twitter, and I'll be sure to get to as many as I can throughout this episode. And we also give you 60-second recaps at the end of every Royals game, and usually our episodes Monday through Thursday come after the Royals game. You saw yesterday, afternoon game, episode came out around 6:30, something like that. But for the later games, you're probably getting a later episode. But when it comes to these Fridays, we like to get these out as early as possible, just because I'm not able to record these episodes after work on a Friday. And before we dive into anything else, I want to let you know that today's show is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more today. And for those who've been listening for a long time, you probably don't recognize me without the facial hair. Shaved it off a little bit, no reason to, but it does grow back rather quickly. So for the new listeners, guess it doesn't matter to you unless you've seen previous episodes. But yeah, now looking at myself on the camera, I don't even really recognize myself a little bit. Wanted to get that out of the way before we get into any more questions here. But first one's going to be coming from Jeff. If Salvi is put on the DL/IL, who gets called up as the replacement? Then how do Fermin and whoever splits go at catcher? I'd be shocked if he's put on the injured list, but if that does happen, Brian O'Keefe comes to mind, just having a backup catcher for a short amount of time. And then Freddie Fermin would be the full-time catcher. I wouldn't imagine they'd be splitting any time behind the plate. Next one is coming from, looks like, Poor Man. Are there any updates on Blake Mitchell's injury and timetable for his return? Haven't heard anything lately on him. I might have misspoke a few Fridays back and said that he was close to returning, but I haven't really heard anything since. So I'm still hopeful that before the end of May, we can see him back in action. But unfortunately, no new update to provide. Hopefully he can get back to 100% sooner rather than later. Next one comes from Robert. With Peyton Wilson being on a tear and getting promoted to AAA, do you think we'll see him called up and Massie sent down? I don't believe so. Peyton Wilson's going to have to play really well in AAA to earn a promotion and therefore lead to Michael Massie's demotion. If anybody would be called up to replace Michael Massie, my pick would be Nick Lofton. And then after that, I would be saying, Harold Castro would be another one, but I believe they'd have to make a move on the 40-man to get Harold Castro to Kansas City. But Peyton Wilson's going to need to spend some time in AAA and show that, hey, AA, those numbers, yeah, they were a bit inflated, but I'm not far off it when I'm hitting in AAA. So for now, I would say Nick Lofton and Harold Castro would be the replacement for Michael Massie if that is the move they would try to make. This one comes from Sean. Are you concerned about the lack of home runs? I know you've said the Royals are not a home run team, but I think it's kind of ridiculous that we can't get a lot out of the park. Yeah, I would say that for those holding out hope that this is just the 2014 team who finished dead last in home runs, if I can recall correctly, don't compare this team to that one, because that 2014 team had an elite bullpen and had more of a well-rounded lineup than this one does. I believe the home runs are going to come maybe when the weather starts to heat up a little bit more, but I would also say that they're not going to be a top 10 home run hitting team. They're not going to be a top 20 home run hitting team. I believe that there's just not a lot of power, not a lot of pop, but they can still win a lot of games despite not hitting a ton of home runs. But you're seeing 0 from Jonathan India, one, isn't it just one or maybe none from Hunter Renfroe? You didn't get more than 1 from MJ Melendez. Vinny Pasquantino does have a couple, but not a lot. Same with Salvador Perez. Bobby Whit Jr. only has a few. Those are going to start coming. I don't believe they're going to be dead last. I just don't see them being a top 20 team when it comes to hitting home runs. Desert fans question, what happened to all the powder blues being the primary road uniform? Didn't see them once against Tampa and sparingly at best of late. That did surprise me a little bit that Ryan Lefevre made that announcement on the first road game of the year saying, well, these are going to be their primary road uniforms, but we haven't really seen them that much. And my only thought would be that I didn't see them winning a lot of road games in those uniforms. So maybe it's superstition. I hope it's not a thing where they've already abandoned it due to superstition because they're playing really good baseball right now. But I want to see that back because if you're going to commit to those being the road uniforms and your Saturday home uniforms, then stick to it. Don't abandon it after the first month of the season. Jets question, I understand small sample size and a low K rate / high walk rate in his 6 1/3 innings, but is it fair to assume Noah Cameron can be a league average starter? I would say that he can give you what maybe Alec Marsh did last year, but maybe a little bit better than that. I do want to take into account it's one start. And even a guy like Eric Skoglund had the same, workload in his major league debut, 6 1/3 shutout innings, and he didn't do much after that. In fact, I don't recall another good start that he had after that. Noah Cameron was a better prospect, and I believe Noah Cameron has better stuff. I just need more than one start to make a firm assessment of what he can be as a big leaguer. I trust that his stuff is going to play at the big league level. He's got the size to be a starter. He can work deep into games, and he is a strike thrower. That felt like more of an anomaly where he walked 5 guys against Tampa Bay. I would love to see him back up and making more starts in the future, but the rotation's throwing well right now. There's nobody that I want to take out of the rotation and replace Noah Cameron with it in that spot. So I think he can be an above league average starter, but bare minimum, yeah, I would say league average or slightly below. That's what you can expect from Noah Cameron. This next one here comes from Chemist. Do you think Waters, Biggio, and even Cameron are being set up for a midseason trade? What's the threshold that makes the Royals change their mind and decide to keep them on the roster? I don't see them being leveraged as any trade chips, mainly because Biggio doesn't have any trade value. Drew Waters, hey, I would say because of your outfield's lack of production last year and to start this year, there's no need to trade him. If you feel that he can be that guy moving forward, he's 26 years old. He's a switch hitter, has power, has speed, can defend. Look, you need to view yourself as a contender. And unless the Royals turn into sellers by the deadline, I would like to see Drew Waters in the lineup every single day until he proves that this was just a hot stretch and he returns back to what he's been his entire big league career. But if he doesn't, take this and run with it. You were hoping the same for MJ Melendez and hoping the same for Kyle Isbell. Maybe Drew Waters is that guy. And for Biggio and Noah Cameron, Cameron could be a trade chip if you really wanted to add an impact bat, but I feel that they really, really like him. And unless that trade blew them away, I wouldn't see them trying to flip him at the deadline. Brian's question, after the Colorado series, how would you feel about a trade for Brenton Doyle and Ryan McMahon? McMahon is off to a bad start, but a change of scenery could do wonders to get away from such a bad team. Brenton Doyle, absolutely. I would love to see the Royals make a play for Doyle, and I would just be curious how willing Colorado is to listen on an offer like that. Ryan McMahon, no. I believe I would pass there. And I'm no high school coach. I've got a couple friends that are high school coaches. My brother's a high school coach. And some of the things he did in that series, I don't feel that you want to have on your team. He could be great again, but the way he just kind of gave up in that series, and even if you are playing for a bad team, I'd rather just have Maikel Garcia at third or Jonathan India at third and make room for other guys to play every single day. But Brenton Doyle, absolutely. I feel that he would be a great fit in Kansas City, and if they're willing to listen, I'd be curious what they'd be asking for from the Royals farm system. Spoons' question, hey, Jack, great stuff as always with you. Working at 810, have you thought about you and Seren thought about doing each other's show? Wouldn't mind seeing you two talk Royals. We haven't brought it up before. I mean, we love to talk Royals down in Surprise, and we definitely talk Royals around the office. But, no, we haven't brought that up. That's a good question. I might try to bring that up in the future if both of us want to do a cross on our podcast, because him and Randy do a great job on the Kaufman Corner, and I'd love to have any one of them on this podcast, as we've done in the past with some previous guests on our show. Caleb's question, and then we'll hit a quick break. If you were to have to get into a fight, what 3 members of the Royals' current roster would you choose to back you up? I love this question, by the way, Caleb. Don't say it's goofy. It's going to be Michael Lorenzen. I mean, that goes without saying. Michael Lorenzen could probably knock out 90% of the average humans, I would say, just the average build like myself, could knock him out in one punch. Not saying he'd want to do that, but you see with the way the guy's built. Number 2, I would say Kyle Isbell. If you've heard Ryan Lefevre tell the story about, playing Fontana High School, or I want to say it was Fontana High School, where Kyle Isbell grew up, he's like, when you played him in football, you were sore for about a week just for how badly they beat you up, how physical they were. So Isbell would be number 2. And then number 3, I would say that, Angel Serpa wouldn't be a bad dude. He kind of has that intensity to him that I feel could really work well in a fight. John Schreiber has a little bit of that tendency as well. If I'm going for reach and size, maybe Carlos Estevez, 6'6", like 260 or 270. That'd be another guy. Michael Garcia as well. I could see him, despite not being the biggest of guys. I'm sure that he could handle himself in a fight. So those would be the 3 that I'd go with. All right, let's take our first break of the show. When we come back, still a lot of questions to get to next on Locked On Royals. You are tuned into Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter or X at JohnnyJ_15. Our only sponsor we're going to tell you about today is Amazon Fire TV Stick. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. And me, myself, being a bit of a gamer, man, I love to set up my console wherever I may be on the road, whether it be Netflix, whether it be playing video games. To have the Fire TV Stick, it makes things so much easier. And I'm on the road a lot, so I would say having that Amazon Fire TV Stick has definitely benefited my life. So here's what you need to do. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. Get started today with your Amazon Fire TV Stick. Our next question is going to be coming from AJ. At what point do we start to have concerns about Vinny? Did see some better at-bats in the final 2 games of the Tampa Bay series, but if we get to the end of May and he's sub 200 and the walk rate's still around 6%, I'd be sounding the alarm bells a little bit that maybe it's just going to be an incredibly down year for him, but maybe these last 2 games in Tampa are going to get him going for this upcoming series against the Orioles. King Chris's question: what would be your dream lineup, rotation, and bullpen using only the World Series winning teams? Oh man, that's a great question. I wish I had more time. George Brett at third. Let's go with Frank White at second. Let's go Haas at first. Salvi behind the plate. Kane in center. Willie Wilson in right. We'll go Gordo in left. I don't know. Escobar at short we could go with there, though I don't feel great about it. Rotation, give me Saberhagen. Give me James Shields. You know what? I might need to respond to you. Let me go half of that right now just because of time constraints. I'll respond to you by the end of the weekend with my complete layout there, but that's like a sneak peek as to what I got because I want to give you my full answers for an entire 26-man roster of the championship teams. I love the question. I'll answer you directly with all my other answers there, but just have to cut it short because of time constraints. But do love the question, Chris. Coach RP, is there a plan to settle India at a defensive position? I'd imagine the later we get into the year, we're going to see him more at one spot. And that might be in left. That might be at third. With the way Garcia is playing, I don't want to move him off third. So either he's got to get better in left field, or maybe you have to play Jonathan India over second base. But my answer to that is the closer we get to the summer, June and July, I would probably imagine seeing him at one spot more than any of the other positions out there. Robert's question. I see the Royals are still bringing Stratton out. Why? Until Hunter Harvey's back, they're probably going to keep him on there. I would have loved to see the move to keep Jonathan Bolin or Evan Sisk there, but until Hunter Harvey's back, there might not be a rush for them. They are paying him the money. I hate to use that answer, but that's why they're running him out there. I mean, that's the only reason they are is because they're still paying him to be their low-leverage guy, and then when Harvey's back, maybe we'll see more of a roster shakeup. Spoons' question, when Tolbert comes back, do you think Massie gets sent down? So Tolbert did come back, did not get sent down, but I know that question's from a few days ago. I don't see Massie getting sent down unless it gets really bad, and I would imagine an IL stint before he would get demoted to AAA. That's my honest take there. Camden's question, actually, that's just a comment from Camden, so no question there. And I believe that wraps it up for all of our YouTube questions. If I missed any of it, respond to this below. I don't want to miss anybody's question here, and I will give you a direct answer. Jumping over to Twitter here, Dro's question, India looks like he's finally breaking out. Do the Royals ever put him at second base with the continued struggles of Massie and Garcia becoming an everyday player? It has crossed my mind, so I love that you brought this up. The Royals know this is a cutthroat business, and if Michael Massie doesn't turn things around by the end of May, why would you not have that conversation of, let's just make it easier on Jonathan India? He's our leadoff hitter. He's not going anywhere, and he's comfortable at second base. And if Massie's hitting $170, well, then maybe Massie becomes your utility guy, your bench guy that you have to move around a little bit more. I hope Massie turns things around, but it is a cutthroat business, and if Jonathan India is more comfortable there and he's hitting and Garcia's being an everyday player, there might not be room for Michael Massie to play every single day. Andrew's question, does it worry you that we have a -4 run differential, and is it too early 30 games in to be worried? I know the offense is suspect with these tight games, but didn't know it was this bad of a differential. Thanks for doing Locked On, Jack. I listen in the morning walking my dogs. Well, love the kind words, and hopefully you can listen to this on a late afternoon / early evening walk. I would say that the run differential doesn't concern me until about halfway through the season, right? And maybe that's too far. Maybe that's giving too much time, but they are around 500 and their run differentials around even. So, -11, they jump up yesterday to being more respectable. You want to be in the positive run differential department because that does tell you who you really are. If you are -24, like the Guardians, which is tied with the White Sox, with the Royals, it's been a little bit of both. When they win, it's usually by close margins and never by a blowout. When they lose, sometimes it's close, sometimes it is a blowout. But to me, wait till about halfway through the season to really make a strong assessment about the run differentials. Next one coming from Melvin Council's Dog Food. Rank these guys by how much you trust them in leverage situations. Daniel Lynch, Angel Serpa, Steven Cruz, Bobby Whit Jr. as a pitcher, and Chris Stratton. I'll go Daniel Lynch, Steven Cruz, Angel Serpa, and even though it'd be kind of funny to say Bobby Whit Jr., I'm going to go Stratton and then Bobby Whit Jr. But, it has crossed my mind as to what he would throw off the mound. Like, he's got such a strong arm. I never want to see him pitch because, A, I don't want it to be a blowout, and B, I don't want him getting hurt on the mound. But it has crossed my mind of how hard he would throw off the mound. But I do not have much confidence, if at all, in Chris Stratton in a high leverage situation late in the game. Charles's question, since Bobby Witt Jr. wanted to put an emphasis on base running in the offseason, are you surprised that he has seemingly been thrown out at somewhat of a high rate? I have been, truthfully. That has surprised me, and it's going to continue to surprise me because of his speed. I feel he gets good jumps. Pitchers hold him closely, and these catchers usually get a good pitch to throw on, and they make great throws. Maybe he's got to get a bigger lead because it can't be a matter of speed. It can't be a matter of not always getting a good jump. I believe he needs to get a bigger lead, and maybe that success rate would go a little bit up. But, yes, I am completely floored that it has not improved early on this season. Lastly, let's get to John here before we take our final break. Are the Royals still in need for outfield help? Who might be available? I do believe they're in need of outfield help, and they should still be considering a lot of options out there. One name that has popped up in my mind is former Royal Jorge Soler. Now, you've heard me say Taylor Ward a lot. Luis Rengifo last year being a utility guy. Taylor Ward's getting on base at a 228 clip. He's OPSing around 66, 67 points. I mean, it's been well below league average. Rengifo's getting on base at a 259 clip. Jorge Soler, despite not having any protection, has an OPS plus north of league average. He's already got 6 bombs on the year. He's been a well above average league hitter over the last 5 seasons, really ever since he left Kansas City. And I feel the Royals need that in their lineup. And he's making about $13 million. Have the Angels pay down half of that salary, give them a few prospects, and add that around the deadline. That's one of the names I'm starting to go back to. Put him at DH. Don't worry about him playing the field too much, and you get some more thump in the middle of your lineup there. So that's a name that I would love for the Royals to consider. Okay, let's take our final break of the show. When we come back, we will answer all the remaining questions that we have on a Mailbag Friday. Welcome back into Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jack Johnson, and you can find me on Twitter or X at JohnnyJ_15. And if you didn't have your question answered, I believe I got to every single one of them on YouTube and are going to get to every single one of them on Twitter. You can always leave your question below on this YouTube video, and I will be sure to answer it by the end of the weekend. Our next one comes from Drew. What do you do with the bullpen when Marsh, Harvey, Wright, and Noah Cameron are all healthy? I'm a little bit skeptical on Alec Marsh at this point, mainly because it just keeps getting prolonged for his return and trying to get the rehab process set up. But if he is healthy and Kyle Wright's healthy and Hunter Harvey's healthy and Noah Cameron is, look, I would say the only guy that's going to be in Kansas City is Hunter Harvey. Like Kyle Wright, if there's no spot in the bullpen with the way they're pitching, and they've got the fifth lowest ERA in the American League, for their bullpen, and they have the second lowest ERA in the American League for their starting rotation, there's no room. And it's always great to have depth there. Noah Cameron, if there is a spot in the bullpen, I would imagine it's because Angel Serpa's not pitching well, or they want Cameron in the bullpen over Evan Sisk or Sam Long, which is definitely still a possibility. But with Marsh, there's just not room right now. With Kyle Wright, there's not room. With Harvey, there will be room when he returns. And for Noah Cameron, there will be room if a lefty starts to struggle. Bob's question, what's your favorite type of roll? Wheat, jelly, cinnamon, in the hay. I will say cinnamon. Yeah, hands down. Cinnamon roll is the best roll I'll go with there. Aiden's question, do you think if Peyton Wilson continues to hit well in the minors, do they give him a shot at second base over Massie since Massie right now is a black hole? Yeah, we had this question earlier. Sorry to repeat my answer here. Massie would go on the IL before his demotion, in my opinion. And Peyton Wilson, he's going to need to really tear up AAA to be a true option to play every single day in Kansas City. Future Dude, his question, how far do you think Bobby will take the hitting streak? Should he be able to beat the Royals record, or should be able to beat the Royals record, but do you think he can go further? Well, I mean, he could lose it tonight. He could lose it 20 games down the road. I hate to bet against Bobby Whit Jr. in any sort of scenario, but I believe this can get to 30. Truthfully. And I don't want to jinx it, so I'll knock on wood there. I believe he can get to 30. I feel he's going to fall a little bit short of the Royals record that was set by Whit Merrifield, though it was at the end of the end of 2018 going into 2019 was the hitting streak. So we can say he'll lose out to George Brett and Whit Merrifield's record there. George's question, do you think the Royals are listening? You talk about Vinny's struggles and how he needs to improve. 4 RBIs in 2 games. You talk about how we need to give the bullpen some easy games. 15 hits and 8 runs the next day. Sounds like you need to talk about Massie next. I don't think they do listen. Maybe some do. I've had some great conversations with some, Royals media personnel that say they do listen. I always appreciate the support there. But for the players, hey, that's all them. Maybe I can be used as a good luck charm. I know that is very unlikely. But, I would love for Michael Massie to get things turned around because we know how different this offense can be if he does start to get going a little bit for the middle of the order. Dynasty Lethal Protectors question, do you think we can get some of the Rockies players for free given Dick Monfort doesn't care about the team? FYI, this question is tongue-in-cheek more than anything else. I would love for them to go after someone like Brenton Doyle. As I said, Kyle Farmer wouldn't be a bad bench bat, but I wouldn't expect Colorado to be asking for your top prospects. I just don't trust the way that they're run because they haven't been run that well for quite some time. S News question, what got into Drew Waters? I would say it was when MJ Melendez got sent down, he finally could relax and know that he wasn't losing his spot to anybody. He didn't have to worry about, I've got 5 games to show out before I get demoted. And even if I do show out, they're going to keep MJ Melendez over me. He's been great. And I tip my cap to him because he's been a joy to watch and he's been a pleasant surprise for the bottom of the Royals lineup. Future World Series winner Y'all's question, what happens first, a Jonathan India home run or Vinny hitting a home run to the opposite field? I'm going to go with a Jonathan India home run there. I feel it won't happen against the Orioles, but I feel it will happen against the White Sox back at home. Let's say the left field bullpen. Amber's question, so you were right again, and it appears some of us were overreacting during the slow start. I'll admit I was one. Does that make you want to shout, I told you so, losers, never doubt me again? Not really, because I've been wrong so many times before. And I was wrong on MJ Melendez's breakout. I was wrong on Michael Massie's breakout start. So I have been wrong more than a fair share of times. So I definitely won't puff out my chest for not overreacting to the sluggish start in the first couple weeks of April. Jason's question here. We won big today, but my question is, are the Royals getting too aggressive on the bases? It seems like we've thrown multiple runs away from constant stealing bases, getting picked off, or trying to stretch a single into a double or a triple. The Royals are going to be aggressive. That's who they are. They got a lot of speed in the lineup, and I don't believe that's going to go away anytime soon. I'd imagine they're going to get a little bit better on the toot blands, right? Getting thrown out in the bases like a nincompoop. I would say that is going to go down a little bit. But the aggressiveness, that's not going anywhere anytime soon. This next one here is coming from Royals Chiefs. It is time. Do you think the Royals go for a high upside and spread their money in this year's draft, kind of like the 2021 draft? I haven't done a good enough mock yet, but they have 2 picks in the first 35, I believe. I would say it might be time to go for more of a prep pitcher again, maybe a prep bat again to truly mold into a great prospect, down the road. But again, if there's a great college bat sitting there, I would love for them to try to add more outfield depth to the organization. So I'm not going to hate it, but when you're picking at that spot now, it might just be best player available. Brian Johnson's question, for how long must Waters continue his performance before we believe it is real? I would give it another month. If he's still hitting around 275 to 290 at the end of May, I would believe that he would be legit for the most part there. So I'm buying into it a little bit, but I wouldn't need to see another month of good baseball from him to fully buy into what he is doing. Jerry's question, Omaha pitching stats as a team through Wednesday, 5.89 ERA and a 4.86 walk per 9. But 11.7 strikeouts per 9. 7 pitchers have ERAs over 6. Do you think the team's pitching will improve, or is there a problem? Omaha's never had great numbers down there, unless the big-time prospect that's pitching well. Noah Cameron had good numbers, but some of it is talent-based, and some of it is that it's a hitter-friendly league, in my opinion. You see a lot of high averages over there, and then it not translate to the big league level. But to me, it's a mixture of talent, and it's also a very hitter-friendly league. Mike's question, why does the team struggle so much against pitchers either just called up or with high ERAs? With pitchers just called up, in my opinion, it's because they've never faced them before. And when you don't have a scouting report, they can sneak up on you. Ever wonder why when some prospects come up and they surprise you and they're hitting 340 and you're like, how are they doing this? They were never on my radar. It's because pitchers don't know their strengths and weaknesses just yet. And minor league strengths and weaknesses are a hell of a lot different than big league strengths and weaknesses. Craig's question, great to watch them these days. What do you think it would take to move Bobby Whit Jr. to the 3-hole in the lineup? Maybe India, Garcia, Whit 1 through 3 in the lineup, given Garcia almost hitting 300 as an ability to swipe bases. I would say keep Garcia where he is because he's finally hitting at a consistent rate. It's not so up and down. He's hitting in the 5-hole and the 6-hole. That's still a very valuable spot. And the reason I believe they want Vinny in the 3-hole is so they can go righty, righty, lefty, righty instead of righty, 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 righty. That can make it a lot easier late in the game for the opposing manager to make a move to the bullpen and facing 4 straight righties and maybe at times 5 straight righties. Prepsley's question, when do you think Stratton hits the Phantom IL so we can call up Andrew Hoffman? Yeah, if you haven't been paying attention to Andrew Hoffman, man, that stuff is impressive. And I believe that he'll get his chance at some point in Kansas City this year, and he's going to open a lot of eyes. Didn't get a chance too much to see his previous few games here. I've been following along more so with the box scores and the stats, but now I'm paying a little bit closer attention, and it would come down to, is there an opening for him? If Stratton hits the Phantom IL, they still got to bring Hunter Harvey back. They might want to have Jonathan Bolin back, Evan Sisk back. So if Andrew Hoffman gets a shot, it would be probably because of multiple injuries in the bullpen, more so than somebody struggling in the bullpen and him replacing him. But if Stratton goes the IL, I would imagine that's because Hunter Harvey's coming back. But I can't wait to see Andrew Hoffman at the big league level. And lastly, Jeremy's question, is this sustainable? What's going to be a big question mark is if the rotation in the bullpen can keep this up. Because if the offense goes into another slump and then the pitching starts to regress, you're not going to see a sustainability of winning 9 of 10 games and being 10, 15 games over 500. So it all hinges on the offense. Can they start to improve so that the pitching staff doesn't need to be perfect every single time out? So I believe they can be as sustainable as last year's team, but the Royals' goal is to win the division, not just make the postseason. They want to get that first round bye in October, and they're going to have to be better than they have been, even in these last 10 games, if they want to reach that goal. That'll do it for another edition of Locked On Royals and the Locked On Podcast Network. I've been your host, Jack Johnson. Thank you for making Locked On Royals your first listen today. For your second, Check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale and find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. We'll be off on Saturday and Sunday, but we'll bring you those 60-second recaps. So until Monday, you take it easy, Kansas City.